Hi there guys, Jiu-Jitsu bringing you a Chromatic Cube draft, and let's just jump right into it. So we have Luna, Apex of Wishes, interesting. Um, I guess it's a decent 5-drop, not too much of a unicorn fan. Anything aggro, big fan of Glint Sleeve here. Got some evasion, some potential card advantage after you swing once. This guy's okay, although a bit slow, sees the spoils. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Similar to a lot of other cards, you just have to discard a card and you get a treasure. Sequence is interesting, Eldest is slow, and a lot of fixing. I am very fond of Apex of Wishes. You can get some interesting plays with that. Nothing here that really screams value in my opinion, or anything that I really, really want to build upon. I think I'll just take the Glint Sleeve. My feeling from the format so far is that it is very tempo oriented, and I feel like you really want to scout out for the early drops here. So let's see, second booster pack. It's very difficult to pull mono off as well. That's my feeling, and I don't think the format was designed for that. Dragon Horde. Some acceleration, which is also important. 3 colors are pretty easy to pull off, and for the most part, I wonder if you can actually like rock an elemental deck with like all colors. That's a bit ambitious, right? Let's pick a very early Omnath. Oh, actually, no, that's I'm thinking of another card. Yeah, I'd probably not pick this that early. I think I'll go removal. It's not like the best, but it's good enough and it'll do the job. Yeah, let's go with that. No like card that really like sends us towards a distinct direction. Beginning of your upkeep, create a dude. Pay 10 life, untap all ends. So I guess that's interesting, right? You can cast him and then instantly gain value back if he doesn't die. And there's a good case because you're often not going to get to untap with a card like this. If you have more than 10 life, maybe you can even blaze your opponent. Swindle's interesting. This is acceleration, if I'm not mistaken. Turn 3 to 5 given, but still. I'm actually really fond of Dream Den. We'll let you cast your guys from your graveyard if they're 2-drops. So otherwise, there is a bit of a equipment theme in white, red, black. I've seen quite a few cards, but I think typically I'd go for either the Nightmarish Cat or the Idol. Since we're looking to, at least thus far, to beat down a bit more, I think I'll go with the 3/2 Lifelinker. And we'll be open to find some low drops. I think I've barely seen any 1-drops. I've seen a few in white, but very, very few 1-drops, which does slow the format quite a bit. Very fond of Bone Crusher Giant, both in terms of versatility and just landing a 4/3 on turn 3 that will punish your opponent if they try to remove him is great. And otherwise, I guess this guy's okay if you have a bunch of earlier drops. But once again, I think that Domri is not as strong when you have a format that is, for the most part, deprived of 1-drops. So very happy to pick the Bone Crusher Giant here. And we'll see if we have any interesting tricolor shifts we can do into with the black-red we have going. Boom, boom. Well, that's pretty cool. So that's so if you're deep into the game, you can actually pay, sorry, not 6, 4 to draw 3 cards. That's actually amazing. I'm also very fond of Sin Prodder, sorry. Skin Prodder is frowned upon in the MTG world, and I advise you do so with consent and consent alone. Sin Prodding, however, is accepted. Basically means that at the beginning of your upkeep, you get the card unless they take damage to the face. If it's a land, they'll usually do it. But if it's an expensive card, then this card will often ping your opponent. Both tempting. Very fond of this card as a 3-drop. Decisions, decisions. I will go for Rix. Um, I'm hoping to get some coherent aggro mishmash here, where we will empty our hand early on, and then possibly gain some value with Rix and the likes. And here we have an Abrade, which is perfectly fine removal slash artifact destruction. So we'll go with that. 3/3 Death Touch. Whenever he attacks, you may pay X. If you do, return a. Okay, so corpse counter. Okay, so you can't abuse this too much. No, I think the Aberrate is a pretty straightforward pick here. So let's go with that. And beginning of our upkeep, Amass. Whenever a zombie we control with power 6 or greater attacks gains lifelink. Okay, so if we plan on amassing, then that can help. We also have a 3/3 haste dude that can gain +1 the greatest power. Is this fire breathing in a way? Greatest 1 creatures you control. So I guess oh no, you can only use it once a turn. So at best you can use fire breathing once. Bum bum. I don't know if this feels like a Bitter Blossom, but not as good because it doesn't give evasion, but is fairly fast. Yeah, I'll go with it. I'll see what we can do with it later. Ooh, Embercleave is interesting. It's a finisher. So whenever you play this, attach it to a creature, and this can often be like if you attack with 3 creatures and you just cast this for 3, then it's a great combat trick. You can get a lot of value from it. So that is something I'm tending towards. Let's say that's our default. Think this is okay. It's also an option. It's a bit of one of the slower 2-drops. Let's see. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards. Yeah, it's also pretty cool. I will go with the Embercleave though. I haven't. Still not familiar with all of the cards here, but Embercleave seems like a pretty safe bet. Not sure we're gonna want to use this. This is not that exciting. A 2/2 haste for 3 is not great. And even if we have a lot of removal, I don't think the plan is to get this guy huge. We can also pick the fixing, but like it doesn't really have our 2 current colors. So sure, let's take the 3-drop. Still not sure if we'll play it. If we have like I don't know, some interesting threaten abilities, we might do that. I'm tempted to take Sulphur Falls. In the event we do splash blue. Warsinger is also great, especially if you have pump spells and the likes. That's if we end up into white, which is a very reasonable option. But I will take the fixing. I will take the fixing since we don't have any at the moment. Depose is interesting if we're on the aggro. We have so this is pretty cool. I guess it's almost like Blaze your opponent, only you have a bunch of attacking creatures, and it's versatile. So yeah, that'll be our default. Electrolyze is also an option, but don't think that's what we're looking for at the moment. Mask of Immolation, sure. Seems like we do have, some ability to sacrifice a bunch of stuff. I wonder if we'll be able to capitalize on that. Even more blue fixing to our current colors. So if we get an interesting blue card, we'll be able to do that. This battlefield, you may pay 2 if you do. Create a 2/1 creature. Attach it to it. So pretty slow, but if we end up, I don't know, memeing with equipments, I guess it's a decent option. So you end up paying like 5 for a 5/1 trampler with a body attached to it. Otherwise, it's a pretty slow equipment. This will go to the question mark, the question mark queue. 6 is expensive. Whenever he attacks a player, choose target permanent that player controls. Oh, for each player. Okay, so you sacrifice something and they sacrifice something. Pretty slow. Briggy's okay, but I don't really think we're trying to accelerate into anything. This is nice. This is acceleration, I guess. No, sorry, mana fixing. And otherwise, I do not see anything too exciting in our colors. I guess Woe Strider can be okay. Um, yeah, and he also kind of like goes with the sacrifice theme. I'm very tempted to just take the fixing. It might wheel as well. I don't know. It looks like this booster pack is good, but just not for what we're trying to do. Um, so more into the equipment theme. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped at +1/+1. Um, okay. Wow. If you untap with it, that's ridiculous. So if we manage to untap with this dragon, every following creature we play will just, deal its power. Um, wow, yeah, let's go with that. Call is interesting, but I think that if we do end up having any 5 drops, we'll either want to, have significant impact at that given moment, or whenever we untap. Not guaranteed we get to untap with that, but I guess we'll see. Okay. Very fond of the captain. Brash Taunter. So this is kind of like a stuffy doll. It seems awkward to have this in a deck that's supposed to aggro your opponents. Breakable Formation is interesting if we end up splashing white. Next, I like the Time Walk effects. I don't know. They're always pretty fun. But it doesn't look like that's where we're going. There's the Fabled 1-drop. I think that's perhaps the first we've seen thus far. Yeah, I think the captain's okay. Don't really see anything in any other color. I'm keeping my eyes open, right, if we want to play any other color, but just not happening so far. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control. Okay, so 4 damage to a creature. I guess it's okay. I think what the go here is... So Rankle's really good. Really, really good. And we currently don't have any 4-drops, which we hope to have, I think, about 3 to 4, depending on how many 5-drops we have by the end of the draft. We also have a premium fixing here, but just not having any 1-drops makes like Bone Splitter in a way both worse and better. We will have close to nothing to do on turn 1, and same can be said for pretty much any other player in this draft. This format just doesn't have a lot of 1-drops. So in an awkward way, Bone Splitter becomes a bit better because it'll be cheaper to utilize him when you draw him in your first hand, because he won't be competing for the 1-drop slot. So in a way, it's more efficient, but also less efficient because you can't turn 2 like equip your 1/1 or whatever and swing with it. The Keenra here is, I think it's one of my favorite cards in any red-oriented aggro deck. So I'll definitely go with that. I think I mentioned this in another draft. I really like these cards, especially when you're the offender, when you're the aggroing side. You can just pay 3 life, which is usually no risk play. You're usually going to lose because you don't have any board control, and it's versatility, which you can buy. So that's also amazing. Cool. So we have a few interesting blue options. Silumgar's command is a bit slow. The cards I'm looking at is the Planeswalker, which is not that good, but this is the card that initially caught my attention. I doubt Watery Grave will wheel, but who knows. So just a 3/4 flyer for 4, Creative Treasure token, and all of our supposed equipments can produce mana. So you can attack and then use them for mana. It's an awkward interaction, but still interesting. So I think we'll go with the dragon. Who knows? Maybe we'll end up playing a dragon-themed deck. So 2/2 man with some draw discard. Um, and a bunch of cards we probably won't play. Torloff is nice. And you know what? I will probably go for the Torloff. I'm very fond of this card. When I drafted, Strixhaven, I think, right? That's the symbol. He's such a monster. He can give you card advantage when you don't want to swing with him. He'll get some damage early on when you can. And then when you hit 5 mana, you can just create a ridiculous amount of card advantage. I'm hoping that we'll be swinging most of the time with this deck. So, um, yeah. So I will take the 4 just in terms of curve advantage. Nothing interesting to resurrect with Doomed Necromancer. The obvious pick is Dragon Skull Summit. We do have another equipment, and I've been mentioning equipments for the past several picks, but we just have a bunch of them at this moment. We don't really have any special way to utilize them. And wow, this cycle is typically very, very good. So this guy brainstorms when he comes into play, and then when he dies, he scries too. So he's a 5/5 for 5. That's pretty amazing. Once again, no cards we're too excited on playing. We'll just take the fixing. And actually, we'll take this. This is actual good fixing that we'll definitely play. Um, mm -mm -mm. Funky. Um, I don't know if we'll play Call. Well, I feel like we'll need a very strong case to go into white in order to play him, especially when he's 2-drop. My philosophy is that I will. Oh, now we have some removal. Um, so just another mention. I typically not want to play too many tap lands in an aggro deck if this was any other format, but since we're really low on 1-drops and probably won't have any, I'm a bit more inclined to pick them up, and we get the Shatter Skull smashing whatever. So yeah, we'll be very pleased to take that. Anyway, bottom line, dual ends are not as evil in aggro decks when the format doesn't have any 1-drops because you're not less inclined to miss an aggressive curve out due to that. So Valky, we'll talk about him in a moment. That's the first thing that caught my eye. That's kind of my default. Double Vision is horrid in fast decks. Anything that costs 6 is typically slow. No to Expanse. We're not starting to look into green and blue now. Ooh, Blade is cool. So this is kind of like a... This is actually kind of like a bad Bone Splitter, right? Yeah, this is a poor man's Bone Splitter. It does the bone splitting, it just costs a lot more until you get there. Yeah, so Valky is my go-to. Not because he's the thing I aspire to cast when we hit 7 mana. More that he's disruptive and he's a 2/1 for 2, and that's everything we want. What? Mox Amber. How many legendary guys do we have? So that's one legendary dude. Legendary. 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 I think our deck's pretty legendary. So we just add 1 mana to cast. This seems like unfair. Wow. I think we must take this. I mean, it's going to be awkward sometimes, but... Oh, we also have the Midnight Reaper, which is really good. I'm in love with this card. Anything that like is okay body-wise, you know, 3/2 for 3, and that will draw you a card when it dies is amazing, because your opponents will viciously try to kill your guys. But I feel like this is kind of cheating in terms of acceleration. We have a bunch of legendary stuff. Creatures and planeswalkers we control, yeah, so for sure. So Kazul's Fury is also really great. We have I think we have a bunch of sacrifice creature things. We don't have a bunch of gain control. Not as exciting as the Shatter Skull smashing / pass, because here we have the option to untap it for 3 life. It's still okay, but just not as exciting. I do see the value in this, right? I think that it's not always going to be a hit, but oftentimes it will be. Not too... This is also okay, but just pretty slow. Karn is interesting, but once again, a bit slower than what we hope to be doing. I think the Rampage is a fine pick here, and oftentimes we'll just uh, get rid of a pesky Planeswalker. Here we have a Ravager, um, which I think will be our default. You know, just a 4/4 flyer, just evasion for 4 is really what we want to be doing. Extinction event. Exile each creature with mana value of the chosen quality. Okay, so this is a board sweeper, not what we want to do. Hostage Taker is amazing as well. Ridiculous, in my opinion. 2/3, remove a blocker. Very fond of Nicole Bolas here, and it goes with the legendary plan we suddenly have. So absolutely excited to curve out into that card. Is this a Phyrexian Arena deck? This usually feels like a more mid-range card. I might run it because we want to res. We have a bunch of cheap cards. And honestly, I might just take it. We don't really have any other decent options, I'd say. I think that if we had any fixing, we just pick that up. And we amass for 4. Still not sure we'll run the 2-mana Amass-a-thon card. I don't know. Feels like you're going to lose a bunch of life, and I guess your guy's going to grow once every turn, but we'll have to think about it. I guess it's decent. Arena might become main deck as well, so not the fixing we wanted. This is kind of like Impulse plus Lightning Bolt overpriced. Sarkhan's, yeah, nothing here excites me. I think that should be the goal of the draft. Okay, so I guess we could take it. And feels like, okay, so this is the last pack we have, pick 7, yeah, last pack we haven't seen. I wonder if we have enough artifacts to support this. Whenever a creature dies on the opponent's side, I think Murderous Rider is just going to be the default here, right? Just the versatility is so good. I don't think we have enough artifacts to support, as amazing as getting this guy online early would be. I don't think it's in the cards here. I kind of want to cheat some extra fixing in. So, sorry. Oh yeah, this is the Ohm Noth I was thinking about. The elemental meme. So sorry, this is the last pack we have. So this is like an edict plus something. Yeah, sure. Let's take this guy. These are 2 out of 3s, and while there isn't any, let's say, specific hate towards a certain color, you know, if we play against some crazy aggro deck, we might opt to get a lifelinker in. Sure. So I think we wanted something to wheel out of this pack or the next one, and it hasn't happened yet. I think looting might be a good option. Really considering it. Probably not. Prismari is also interesting. It's kind of like looting, but with some more versatility. Bum bum. Prismari. Yeah, let's do Prismari. Prismari sounds good. Fury. To Fury or not to Fury? That is the question. Do we even go for this? It's like 2 mana, and then like we pay 3 at some point to equip it. No. No, let's go for the Fury, and we'll decide later on whether it's whether the Fury is worthy. Okay. Even more legends. Yeah, a bunch of useless picks. Okay, so that was the draft, and on to deck building.